Welcome, everyone. I'm Kimberly Boscheman, and this is the Intentionally Intuitive Podcast. In this episode, we're going to take a look at the numerology and the energy for the year ahead for 2023. First, we're going to break down the numerology and the energy for the collective for 2023. And of course, remember, we are all a part of the collective, so we will in some way, shape, or form feel this energy and have to work with it in some way. So it is relevant. So I highly recommend listening to the intro to that portion. Then we will break it down into each individual life path number, and we will take a look at the energies that life path energy will be working with. So again, if you're a life path 1, you may have a different cycle or an additional cycle that you're working through in addition to that of the collective. So if that makes sense. So we're going to break it down for the collective, and then we're going to break it down for each individual life path number for 2023. Before we get into the forecast, this, of course, is a general reading. If you would like a personalized reading, this is a great time for your year ahead forecast. We'll take a look at your own personal year ahead cycle, your personal year ahead cycle, as well as your numerology and the transits and the cycles that you have coming up for 2023. And we will break that down to give you greater insight in what you could be personally be potentially working with for the year ahead. Of course, it's always a great time for, to get your numerology report run, to have a reading or a coaching session. So if you would like to work with me in any of those capacities, book some time with me. I would love to take a look and to work with you in that way. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into this. So I cannot believe, I feel like I say this every year around this time, but I can't believe it's almost a new year. But here we are in the closing phases of this 6th universal cycle of 2022, about to embark on another new adventure as we navigate through the 7 universal cycle of 2023. So I think 2023 is going to be sort of a mixed bag. And I say that because the energies of the 7 are very nuanced, right? But they can be very polarizing as well and divisive when in a shadow or within their extremes. So we could say that, we could say that about all the energies really, but the 7 can either use the sum of all of its parts to build a bridge, or it can burn that bridge down pretty quickly. So as always, it's what we choose to do with the energy that ultimately makes the difference. I say that all the time. But it'll be interesting to see how collectively we choose to work with this vibration. Because this can be a very intense, beautiful vibration to work with, but it certainly has its extremes, again, just like with any energy. But the 7 is unique. So basically, the energy of the 7 has 2 very distinct sides to itself: a very practical, pragmatic, logical, physical, investigative, like truth-seeking, knowledgeable, and fact-checking side, which can at times sort of lack trust in the unseen and within itself. It has this sort of energy of seeing is believing and discounting everything else, or not even entertaining anything outside of the seeing is believing belief system. This side of the 7 is very much in the body, so to speak, and it can be very hypercritical of itself and of others until it is able to prove its own point or find the quote unquote truth, right? And as we know, there are some truths that, always sort of give the same result, but then there's also personal truths, and there's truths that, that are based on belief systems, which are constantly changing. So you can see how that extreme could lead to sort of clinging to an illusion that is not real. So then the other side of the 7 energy is very much the opposite. It is very ethereal. It's head in the clouds, very spiritual, very psychic. 7 energy is the most psychic energy in numerology. Now, I would say we all have that, those abilities, right? But the 7 is almost just sort of already tapped into that. It's just what they choose to do with that energy, right? Or that gift. So anyway, it's a very psychic, very sort of playing in the realms of the unseen, seeing beyond the illusions and the limitations of the 3D reality, and embracing the more sort of intuitive, heart-focused side of life. So where the more physical, brain-powered side of the 7 is much more grounded, this other side of the 7 prefers its wings over shoes and is very much driven by feeling and inner knowing. So both sides of the 7 are very much needed and are beautiful in their own ways, right? However, one side without the other causes division, causes lack of trust, causes rigidity or aloofness, over attachment or over detachment. So too many roots or too big of wings and no roots. The vibration of the 7 is off balance when it isn't bridging these two very important sides of itself and finding its own balance between the two. So you could look at the vibration of the 7 as the ultimate when it comes to the union or the merging of the masculine, physical energy and the more ethereal, spiritual, feminine energy. And again, when I speak, I'm going to be talking about feminine and masculine energy as we move through this forecast. And I'm not talking about gender. So I just want to get that out of the way. I know if you listen to my channel that you know the masculine, we all have masculine, feminine energies from within. There are masculine, feminine energies within everything. And so that's what I'm speaking to. I'm speaking to the energy when I talk about that. So just as a precursor. Okay, so the 7 is the bridge, or is meant to be the bridge that balances these vibrations, right? So when that bridge is missing, we see imbalance, we see divisiveness, we see extremes of these energies. So one more dominant than the other and sort of out of control. So on a high level, we can view 2023 as a pivotal year when it comes to the collective balancing of the masculine and the feminine energies. 2023 has the potential to be the bridge or the building of that bridge sort of commencing, right? And so we can see if we look at the current state of things and the state of things over the last thousands of years, it's definitely been more masculine energy dominated, right, to an extreme. And so the last few years, especially, we see this rising of the divine feminine energy. There's a long ways for that energy to go to meet the masculine. And really, it's this energy or this sort of balancing act where the masculine energy needs to be brought down a little bit, right, as the feminine rises. And so again, 2023 has the potentiality to be sort of, again, the commencing of building that bridge, of allowing and supporting that feminine energy collectively to rise. And sort of balancing out that more masculine energy. We'll see, right? Because it's always, again, what sort of the collective consciousness, which is humans and, the living beings, right? Like what we choose to do with this energy. And really, I'm looking at you humans, at us. I'm human also. And so, but yeah, so as with anything, we rarely see sort of true progress or solutions without there first being some kind of like breaking point where things have to get worse before they get better. And again, it's like if there's too much light, there needs to be some darkness. If there's too much darkness, the light comes in. And so it's like, again, it's like this balancing. But in order to do that, balancing, to find that happy medium, there has to be some level of chaos. That's just sort of the way it works, right? There has to be that boiling point, that breaking point, to realize where it is that adjustments need to be made. So we have definitely seen this over the last few years. And I think 2023 will sort of be a continuation of that chaos. But I also think 2023 has the potential with this energy to bring to light hidden truths and monumental solutions that we haven't seen before and that help to shift the collective consciousness, sort of moving us closer towards that merging of the masculine and feminine energies, right? And so we will continue, more than likely, to see the feminine energies continue to rise under this 7 energy to meet those masculine energies. So I think we have the potential to make great strides in that direction, right? Of that balancing. I think that this is potentially a year for awareness, for understanding again where it is specifically that we really need to start making some major adjustments and what that looks like, and then coming up with those solutions. And so again, I don't think that everything's going to come to fruition. I don't think much is going to come to fruition under this energy, but it's the commencing of building that bridge, the building the container to support the feminine energy to rise to meet the masculine and to merge. So generally speaking, we could see a greater focus on health and well-being, advancements in medicine and cures for hard-to-treat illnesses, because 7 energy is also, again, it's very physical. It can be very physical. It can be very in the body. And so focus comes to the body and holistic health. And this, of course, would allow for greater longevity and greater quality of life. Holistic health can become even more of a focus, including a greater emphasis on how to manage emotions in a healthy, constructive way, and how to harness all of that powerful energy and channel it into something useful. So emotions are typically thought of as very feminine energy. How we express those emotions is can be very masculine, right? Because it's action, right? So there can be, under this 7 energy, a more focus on emotions and how we use those emotions and how we express them and all of those things, right? Like more of an emphasis on this, because we have been sort of conditioned to suppress that charged energy, which, as we know, it will eventually find its way out in very unpredictable ways. So that can, of course, be very destructive. So there could be more of a focus this year on tools and resources to help all humans sort of find their own best way to express that energy in a positive, constructive way. Also, with this 7 energy, we could see a lot of truth coming to the surface unexpectedly. So secrets being revealed, information that can be that can't be ignored anymore, that has the potential to create major shifts in perception and understanding, as well as shifts in action and outcomes. So 7 isn't energy that sits back and sort of like accepts the status quo at face value without doing a bit of its own digging beyond the surface layer. So if you tell a 7 that the sky is blue, they want to know why. Right? It's like they may believe that, but because they can see it, but they want to know why. They want to know the sort of intricacies. They want to know the hidden details. So we could see this kind of sort of collective investigative work take place this year, where more and more people sort of refuse to just believe whatever they're told by people in quote unquote roles of authority. So does someone or an entity know what's best for you? Maybe, maybe not. But the 7 will do the work to understand as much as possible before they commit to whatever they're being told to commit to. So this energy sort of encourages us to think for ourselves under every circumstance. Now that can be, you can take that to the extreme, obviously. But it definitely, this energy promotes that thinking for yourself, doing the work yourself, coming to your own conclusions based on the information presented to you, as well as your own inner knowing. The nature of the 7 is to be highly sensitive and spiritual, psychic, and intuitive. So it's very, very possible that this year we could see this could be a great year for all things metaphysical to finally come on stage and to take a bow, right? We could see things such as astrology, numerology, psychics and mediums, and other metaphysical sciences and divination tools find its rightful seat at the table, sort of garnering much needed and deserved respect, or at least we may get sort of an invite to the party, right? Even if our seat still isn't reserved just yet. We may not get the public recognition and approval that we deserve just yet, but we could definitely see an uptick in people becoming more sort of drawn to this side of themselves and recognizing the value in not only these services from others, but in growing their own personal gifts in a much deeper way. So we could also see sort of some religions that are more controlling and more sort of prescriptive or, just more like punitive in nature come under fire under this energy for perhaps unethical behavior or corrupt behaviors. So that may come into the spotlight this year. Because remember, the 7 energy is the truth seeker. It's the one who's going to dig deeper and sort of excavate anything hidden to bring it to the surface to be reviewed. And that doesn't just have to be religions. I mentioned sort of like traditional religions, even spirituality. There's corruption. There's all of these things in anything where humans have their hands in it, right? Like anywhere that the ego is involved, there is corruption, right? And so but there's really this sort of more like spiritual, religious, sort of, again, psychic, intuitive nature to the 7 that's more like philosophical and that sort of thing. So it's really, I think, going to be an emphasis on those areas this year, bringing things to light and bringing to the forefront these tools, these the more metaphysical side of things, bringing it to the spotlight, giving us a seat at the table that is much deserved and is, has been a long time coming. And we can already sort of see this happening. I was watching, or I follow Molly McCord, who is an astrologer. I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, are very familiar with her. And she recently, I can't remember the event that she was at, but it was with all of these speakers who, are like authors and like are healers and spiritual teachers and spiritual gurus and all of these things, right? And she was invited to that event and spoke about astrology. And I was so impressed by that. Molly is impressive on her own, but I was so impressed by that because that's what I'm talking about when I say it's like astrology, numerology, like psychics and mediums coming to the table, right? And being an active participant in these sort of mainstream events that normally we wouldn't get an invite to necessarily, right? We don't necessarily see that. And so I was really excited to see that. And I hope that that's sort of an indicator of what's to come because I could go on and on. But anyway, so I do think under this 7 energy, we're going to see more and more of that come to light. And I also think that, again, more and more people will start to sort of investigate and explore that side of themselves. So at the core of this universal vibration, the energy will be working towards bridging the seen with the unseen, the physical with the metaphysical, the heart and the brain, the masculine energy with the feminine energy. So this won't all happen this year, right? Little by little, things will be sort of finalized. Like, you know what I mean? They'll come to fruition, will be, solutions will be found. But I don't think that we're going to see that necessarily happen this year. This is like the jumping off point, I think. This is the time for the exploration and the planning, right? There is the potential for many seeds to be planted this year. And those seeds will be ready to harvest in the coming years. So this is like the preparation phase. This is where we start to get the insights and the downloads and all of that, and then start to plan. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at your individual life path number now to see what you're working with for 2023. Life path number 5. So I pulled an animal spirit message for you all, and you got seal energy for 2023. This is really beautiful energy, and of course it's aligned with the energy that's you're working with the numerology for 2023, which is beautiful. But what's really coming through here is sort of this energy of sort of enjoying the finer things in life, which is right up Five's alley. It's sort of like this, not taking a break, right, from your responsibilities, that sort of thing, but being a little bit more gentle with yourself, a little easier on yourself, and not pushing so hard. Maybe like cutting back on some of your responsibilities, some of your obligations, really focusing your energy on a few things that you really want to accomplish this year, and not overexerting or overextending yourself. This is really a year to sort of more of like a not a waiting period. You're not completely going to completely come to a halt. But this is one of those energies this year for you all, especially with Seal coming through, where again, it's just more about being present, enjoying life, not overdoing it, like doing the things that need to get done, right? Like, taking care of your family and, going and getting food and that sort of thing, right? Like nourishment, going to work and doing what you need to do. But really creating the space for your downtime, to do the things that you enjoy doing, to play more, to just really invite in that time and space to just enjoy life more, right? And be more present is really Seal's message. There's a lot here around the potential for a tremendous amount of happiness and contentment and joy coming through that experience if you honor it, right? If you create the space for it, if you don't push yourself to the limit, right? Like this is going to be a year where moderation really is going to be key for Fives, and finding or sort of deciphering between, is this something I need to do? Is this something that has to get done? Or is this something that I can put on the back burner for a little while and do the things that I really want to do, explore the things that I really want to explore? That could be very possible for you this year, and you're meant to honor that. So for the year ahead for you all, you will, of course, be working with the 7 energy that we'll be working with collectively, but you're also working with this undertone energy of the 3. So typically 3 energy is a very social energy. It's about collaborations and network and communication, and again, getting your name out there, getting your product out there, doing just is a very big energy, and it actually complements 5 energy very well. But there's definitely something here about potential for reversals, a change in direction, or a change of view, right? Like getting something maybe that you thought you knew everything about, some new vantage points, some new insights come through for you this year that may change your course, right? May change the direction that you're moving in as it's associated to whatever this is. And so pay attention to those new perspectives that come in for you, and then take the appropriate action, right? Because if you get new information, but you continue doing it the way that you've always done it, you're not going to get the better results. You're going to get the same results that you were getting before that you might have been frustrated with. So it's kind of like this is a review period in that sense. This is a time for, possible changes of perspectives, changes of direction because of those changes in perspectives. So just be kind of open to that and see where it takes you. It's a very fluid energy, but it's also asking you again to do things in moderation, to sort of enjoy the process as well, right? Like not be so fixated on the outcome, but enjoy the process. And in that process, there could be reversals, right? Like things that you've made decisions on previously, you may get new insights on and want to change direction or change those, make different choices, right? And that's very possible. And you're encouraged to do that this year. So you may see someone from your past come in, right? And they're a different person now, and you're a different person now. And the people that you are now is much more conducive to a healthier relationship or a healthier collaboration, whatever that means, right? And so I would just say be very open to the people, places, things that come in for you this year, especially if they are somebody from the past or something from the past revisiting. because it may be that you're both in very different places at this point, and now something that would never have made sense before makes a lot of sense. This is also going to be a year potentially, again, for surrender, but surrender in the sense of surrendering, just releasing or putting on the back burner those things that do not require your immediate attention. This is going to be a time where, again, finding that healthy balance between work and play, between action and sort of the stillness, right? Like surrendering to the more feminine side of things. Remember, we talked about in the intro about that merging of the feminine and masculine energies. This could be a big year for fives to really do that within themselves. And so honor if you wake up and you feel like you've got all this energy and you want to tackle all these things and do all these things, great. That's your masculine energy. Go for it. If you wake up and you're like, I'm just feeling kind of low today. I'm feeling like not a lot of energy. I'm feeling like I need some self-care. I feel like I need some rest and rejuvenation. You're meant to honor that. That's your feminine energy. That's the stillness. That's the receptivity. That's honoring that side of yourself that needs that peace, quiet, inaction, right? Or softer action. So honor those energies this year, and you will feel so much more balanced. And this 3 energy is actually helping you to do that, as is seal energy, which is really beautiful. This can also be, like I said, a period of review. So you may have opportunities, like I said, to review certain situations. So it may be that you are reviewing a relationship or a job or something like that, where you've been in it for a while, but it's just feeling stagnant. It's feeling like it's not going anywhere. You've hit a dead end. You're feeling restricted. You're feeling confined. You're feeling like you don't have a creative voice or a voice in the family dynamic, whatever the case may be. This is going to be a year potentially where you really have to pay attention to that and really explore that and research that for yourself, right? And see, do I need to find a different job? Do I need to end this relationship? Do I need to, or if you're someone who's single and has been single for a while, maybe this is the year that you want to put yourself out there and start dating or start, exploring those options, right? So this can also definitely be a year for review of your current circumstances, your current situation, and see where it is that you want to make some changes, where you want to switch things up. A lot of times with fives, one of the signatures is, of course, that if things become too stagnant or, on the other extreme, you're living in too much excess, something within you will trigger something where the external divine intervention will come in to sort of shift things, right? Like 5 energy there's a lot of movement with this energy. It's like typically, right? It's a lot of change, transformation, and that sort of thing. And so it's not necessarily very likely that the 5s stay in stagnation very long, but it's possible, right? Like especially if there's self-sabotaging going on. So this is going to be a year, I think, where you guys will get to really explore, again, those areas of your life that you're not satisfied with, where you could make some adjustments, make some changes, and then do that, right? And then start that process. And this 3 energy is going to help you to do that. You could also see an uptick in travel, which again is right up 5's alley. Fives typically love that exploration to broaden the mind, right? Broaden the experience of their time on Earth, and to experience life with all their senses. And with Seal coming in and this 3 energy, I think there's going to be an opportunity for you maybe to travel overseas, to experience a different culture, to travel, to a different place within your own country. That's very possible. So if travel does come up for you all and you're able to do it, I would absolutely recommend saying yes to it. Same thing with like learning another language or anything that's like really expanding the mind. 7 energy is actually the 7 energy that we're working with collectively for 2023 is actually very conducive for like learning and learning something new, like a new language or something like that. So if that comes in for you 5s, then go for it, because the 7 of the collective and the 3 for the 5 energy, you have a lot going on here that's really helping you to expand and broaden your horizons, and while also honoring your downtime, right? Like making sure that you have plenty of time for that as well. So really it's about finding your balance this year, and then finding what feels good, what doesn't feel good, what do you want to do more of, what do you need to do less of, and honoring that. So I hope it's a beautiful year for you all. Thanks so much for being here. Take care, fives. Bye for now.